Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Patty Giarrusso, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today, we welcome back to the show Kathy Pobloskie from Lost Dogs of America and Lost Dogs of Wisconsin. And even though August 15th has passed us by, we wanted to talk about Check the Chip Day. Generally, National Check the Chip Day falls always on August 15th, and most people in different communities across the United States have a Check the Chip Day clinic or, some sort of something going on. But with COVID and all this crisis in our midst, we aren't able to do the clinics. So today we're going to talk about different ways that owners can be sure their microchips are up to date and properly registered, because if it's not, it's worthless. So Kathy Pobloskie is the co-founder of Lost Dogs of America and director and founder of Lost Dogs of Wisconsin, and she joins me every month, sometimes twice a month, to discuss lost pet recovery methods and the importance of doing everything possible to keep your pets safe. Welcome back to the show, Kathy.
Hi, Patty. Glad to talk to you again this month.
Yeah, so Check the Chip Day. This is going to come and go this year with not much fanfare other than what we can or what we've done this month to, make people aware of it. So even though it's passed by, it's something that we don't want anybody to forget about because it's so important, and it should be more than something that people think about one day out of the year.
Yeah, that's. I am kind of a little worried this year because we generally do a lot of events in the summertime in Wisconsin, and a lot of people we check microchips at those events. So at some of the big pet walks and pet expo things, that go on where people bring their dogs, and a lot of people we see year after year, and they're using that as their opportunity to check their chip, which is great. But
Mm-hmm.
because of COVID, we're not able to do any of those events this year. So I'm just hoping that we can remind the people that they should still check their chip, even though they're not doing it at one of our events.
Yeah, same here. I mean, that is pretty much the way we do it as well. And it amazes me whenever we do them, and I'm sure it does you as well, that the number of people that are like, oh, geez, I've never done that before. So it's not always registered. They're just amazed
Yeah.
that, and it kind of amazes me, but I guess it shouldn't because it's just what we do day in and day out, that people don't know, but people don't know,
Right.
and
Right.
they don't know what to do. I just had somebody uh, 2 days ago say, "Oh, I know what to do. I'm a vet tech," and I'm like, "Great," because I get a lot of. I'm going to be a little politically incorrect, but I get a lot of snotty vet techs. I mean, I appreciate the ones that are nice, but believe me, I get a lot of people that have a little chip on their shoulders and believe that they know everything. Well, this particular tech only did the thing where we've run into before, that they go by what they see on the scanner. And so she told
Yes.
me it was an Avid chip and it was all registered. Well, it wasn't. It was a home again registration, and it needed to be checked by her. So that's one of the things we're sometimes up against, is people that either don't know what to do or believe they know what to do.
Right. Absolutely. They think that they can quickly identify the microchip, and don't use the AHA lookup tool, and then they're not they're not tracking down the latest registration on that microchip.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
and a lot of times, people when they get their pet shipped at their vet's office, they believe that the vet has done it for them. But then they probably didn't hear just in the course of their appointment, because it gets a little crazy sometimes during an appointment, that they were told to register their chip. So always talking about it and asking people, we constantly ask people, is your chip updated? Is it properly registered? And it kind of comes as a surprise to people.
yes, absolutely. Or they may not even know. They may have a friend or a family member or something, and they don't even know if it's microchipped.
Right.
So they have you say is your dog microchipped, and they have no idea, um, or they think, well, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's just really important to get that all taken care of and kept up to date. So I had a man email me the other day. and said that his cat had gone missing, and he knew his cat was microchipped, but he didn't know where the microchip, what the microchip number was, and he wanted my advice. And I mean, what would you tell him? All I could think of was to, where did he get the cat from? Maybe somebody had kept records, because he had no idea. I think
Yeah.
do you think you put it in a filing cabinet somewhere or with your vet records? And he said, no, he didn't think so. He knew the cat was microchipped, but that was all he knew.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, we pretty much say the same thing. Where did you get it? Did you adopt it from a shelter or a rescue? What
Mm-hmm.
vet did you go to, and check with your vet? I mean, other than that, there's really no other solution, I
Right.
guess, other than, yeah. I hear that a lot,
Yeah.
sadly, when pets go
Yes.
missing. Oh, it's registered, or it's chipped, but it's unregistered. Well, if you know that
Mm-hmm.
it's unregistered, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why is it? And I think
Right.
a lot of times it boils down to, they get that notice in the mail or the email, and they don't want to pay the 19.95, 29.95, whatever it is, so they just choose not to do it.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. And for some of them, I mean, there is no reason to pay the fee. Some of it you actually read the email. You're actually just paying for extra services that you may or may not want or need.
Hmm.
And there's really not a cost to keep the actual microchip up to date.
Yeah.
Um, I've never heard of a microchip company like deleting the number from the database because somebody didn't pay a fee. But
Yeah.
they will tell you that you're not going to get all the extra bells and whistles services when your pet goes missing. But that's
Yeah.
everybody's personal choice. But most of that stuff they can do for themselves anyway.
Right, right. Yeah, I think it's important, and we've talked about this numerous times, is, not only calling and speaking to somebody and going over it, but then setting up your own portal or whatever you want to call it, with your registry so that you
Mm-hmm.
can control it yourself. You can look at it and make sure that there's not a typo. We had a 914 instead of a 941 area code, but I just figured that it was a typo and, put in 941 when obviously 914 didn't work. Um,
Right.
but
Right.
it's just those little things that can make a big difference if you have somebody in a busy office calling on a found pet and they don't have, a lot of extra time. You want to make sure that the information they get is correct. And I know before you've talked about this is certain rescues will only put the pet in their name. Now, one of our local humane societies, every single pet that we found only has their name and their phone numbers. And
Oh,
so it always happens on the weekend, and then you can never reach anybody. So here we've
yeah.
got a pet over the weekend that you don't know who it belongs to. And, it may end up in the shelter, and then they have to pay to get it out, or, they're frantic over the weekend. And I have a problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I really do too. Yeah. Or if the dog or cat's in the shelter for a few days, then it has a chance of coming down with some kind of a URI, some kind of kennel cough or some upper respiratory infection that, then it's going to cost the owner money to have to take the pet to the vet get that taken care of.
Right.
So, yeah, we always tell people make sure that they're the first number on the microchip, and then somebody that they really trust is the second number on the microchip. And then if they want to put the rescue or the shelter, whatever, further down the list, that's
Hmm.
fine. But they
Yeah.
certainly should not be the first number or the second number.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah,
Because that's the worst thing. And it always seems to happen that happens on a weekend too,
yes, yeah,
or
mhm,
after business hours. And then
yeah,
again, you're in trouble after business hours. But those are things that I think, this discussion is about, and why it's important to check your chip and why it's important
mhm,
to actually call yourself, register it yourself, and do what you need to do. So maybe you could talk about those steps that somebody would have to take during this time. I mean, it's not as easy now without the clinics, etc., that somebody could just be like, okay, I'm going to go today to this event. So what do they do instead?
Well, now I don't know. I have not asked a shelter, but I'm going to guess that they may not be welcoming people right now to bring in a pet just to scan a microchip.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they would do it in the parking lot if you phoned and made arrangements, and maybe somebody would come out and do it in the parking lot for you.
Mm-hmm.
But so I would say for most people that they really need to do it at a vet appointment, and ask the vet to do it as part of the whatever else they're having done with the vet.
Yeah.
Um, because and now I've never actually checked this, but people tell me that PetSmart has scanners and will scan.
Yes, they do.
Um, oh, they do? Okay, and what do they just give you the number like, and then you would take that home and research it yourself, I guess.
If it was your own pet, yes. When it's a found pet, they don't. For the privacy rules, they won't give out the chip number, generally speaking. But for your own
Okay,
pet, yeah, I bet that wouldn't be an issue.
okay,
As long as you had proof of ownership, of course. Um, and then, I would hope that they would direct them to the AHA site, because otherwise they'll get the chip number and they won't know what to do with it.
right, right, exactly. So that is that would be something to look into to see if they are giving that out. I
Yeah.
might just stop by or PetSmart to see what they do when somebody comes in. But I don't know what else to suggest other than the vet. Because you're paying your vet and you're a good client of your vet.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and they should do it for you. They should do it at no additional charge to whatever else they're doing for you that day.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe if people are, have regular checkups with their vets and had the chip implanted at their vet, they could call and ask if that chip number was part of the pet's records, and get the chip number that way. Or
Yeah, yeah,
perhaps,
absolutely.
yeah, or if they've adopted it locally, maybe either the rescue or, the Humane Society or shelter could look it up and give it to them as well. And then,
Right,
but the ticket or the key here is for them to be able to know about the AHA, uh, petmicrochiplookup.org, and look it up so that they can see, who to call, because just that chip number is going to mean a lot to them.
right, right. And I find that there's a lot of confusion about that also. I think people, like when we scan a pet, a lot of times, we run the scanner over and it picks up the number, and then the people are standing there waiting to see if it says, "Oh, did my name and number pop up?" And we have to go,
Right.
"No, it wasn't your name and number. It was just the microchip number." And then now you're going to have to go home and do some research with this.
Yeah. I had put together this thing that, of course, being as busy as it always is with the lost pets, we never got it out there. But I thought about doing that this year just because of this whole situation we're in. And that was a kind of like check the chip. Oh, what do I want to say? Not a not a game, but almost like, here, it's a check the, what the heck did I call it? I called it something where they would, have different things they'd have to do to make sure that their pet was properly registered, and it was more like a challenge, a check the chip
Oh,
challenge, basically, and it was a list of
yeah,
items that they would do, to make sure that they had everything that they needed. And one of the things was how we mentioned, once you got all that detail, to put it in your phone, to keep all that information at your fingertips by having it in your phone, so that, if your pet ever did go missing, you would have it right there.
right, right. Yeah, that is a great idea. And also, I think